Hello my fashion friends and welcome back to my channel. If you love luxury handbags and keeping up with the industry, you are in the right place because it's time for a new edition of fashion news. So September is always a huge month, fashion weeks are in full swing and major luxury houses often announce big changes, and this September really hasn't been any different. We saw some massive designer switches, once again at some of the world's biggest brands, controversial new appointments, and some new rules that will make buying an Hermès Birkin even harder. So grab a drink because we have a lot of important fashion news to cover for September 2025. And we are kicking it off with a gift that keeps on giving, namely the musical chairs in the creative director world. First up, the New York-based label Proenza Schouler named Rachel Scott as its new director, and this appointment came after the founders Jack McCullough and Lazaro Hernandez left earlier this year to take on a role at Loewe. Rachel Scott is a Jamaican designer known for her own label, Dior, and she has a wonderful reputation for her craft-first approach. She's won major industry awards including Women's Wear Designer of the Year 2024. And importantly, Rachel Scott is the only woman of color appointed to kick off a new era at a major fashion house this season, making this presentation pretty unique. Across the ocean in Italy, there is news from Fendi. Silvia Venturini Fendi is stepping down from her role as creative director. She comes from the Fendi family and she's been deeply involved since 1994, designing menswear and accessories. She even took over the women's wear lines after Kim Jones left last year, steering the house for 2 seasons during its centennial year. But Silvia is now taking on the role of honorary president to focus on the brand's history and craftsmanship. So she will now be gone, but Fendi is expected to announce a new creative organization soon. Finally, one announcement that caused, well, some more conversation online, namely that Jaden Smith has been named Christian Louboutin's first ever men's creative director. Jaden Smith, the 27-year-old son of Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, will oversee shoes, leather goods and accessories. And Christian Louboutin says that Smith was really the only person for the job, praising his way of seeing and transforming things. However, the news immediately also started the whole Nepo baby debate. Many online voiced confusion, pointing out his total lack of professional experience in such a serious role. Smith, on the other hand, is acknowledging the pressure, calling the appointment one of the biggest honors of his life. He will debut his first designs in Paris in January 2026, and yeah, I'm just very curious to see what he will do with this. Now, with all the musical chairs that have been going on recently, we've had quite a number of creative directors also debuting their first women's wear collections over the fashion weeks that have been going on in September. And it's really too much to cover all of them, so I'll just focus on 2 debuts that I was personally interested in. First off, Demna's highly anticipated debut for Gucci took place on September 23rd at Milan Fashion Week, but instead of doing a traditional runway, he unveiled his Spring-Summer 2026 collection through a cinematic film premiere at Palazza Mezzanotte, combined with a lookbook release. The collection is called La Famiglia, and it features 38 looks. Well, these looks mixed Gucci's heritage codes with Demna's signature reference, so think of oversized silhouettes, strong shoulders, and references to various past Gucci eras from Tom Ford, Frida Giannini, and Alessandro Michel. Overall, Demna's Gucci debut was unconventional, cinematic, and well received by critics as a bold and much needed jolt for the brand, setting high expectations for his upcoming runway show in early 2026. Personally, I was quite happy to see that Demna didn't really take it overboard with a lot of his looks. At least he didn't present any rundown sneakers or potato chip bags. I would have to say that he did a pretty decent job, despite everything I personally think about Demna. Now, over in Paris, all eyes were on Jonathan Anderson as he unveiled his first women's wear collection for Dior. I think it happened on the 1st of October, so technically it's not fashion news for September, but I will allow it just to fit it into this segment. So as most of you will know, Anderson is overseeing both men's and women's lines at Dior. He opened the show with a cinematic short film by Adam Curtis, mingling horror movie imagery, archival Dior footage, and flashes of drama, which really set a striking and emotional atmosphere before the collection itself appeared. The collection paid homage to Dior's legendary coats, but reinterpreted elements with modern drama and playful disruption. Critics praised the debut as romantic and rebellious while being refreshingly practical, and they applauded Anderson for infusing Dior with youthful energy, subtle rebellion, and intellectual flair while respecting the brand's heritage, earning Anderson a standing ovation, but also setting high expectations for Dior next era. I think also in this case, it's fair to say, great job, and we will be watching what you're going to do next. Now for some crucial news about the business side of luxury, including some rules that directly affect us as handbag lovers. If you thought buying a Birkin or Kelly was already tough, the new 2025 Hermès shopping rules allegedly are making things even harder. So it appears that Hermès is tightening its quota system. The annual quota now includes more variations, such as the Kelly Dance, the Kelly Pochette, Kelly Elan, and Constance Elan. And Hermès is also closing the loophole of buying bags in different countries. Purchases are now globally tracked and centralized against your annual limit. Store staff are also denying requests if you already own too many of the same style, pushing buyers to purchase a wider variety of unpurchased styles instead. And once again, the brand is clearly increasing exclusivity, making loyalty and pre-spend even less of a guarantee for getting your dream bag. Then in Brussels, the European Parliament adopted new rules to tackle textile and food waste, and this is huge for the fashion industry, especially fast fashion. New rules require producers who sell textiles in the EU to cover the cost of collecting, sorting, and recycling their waste, and this applies to clothing, accessories, hats, and footwear. The EU is trying to address practices like the ultra-fast fashion, especially since less than 1% of textiles worldwide are currently recycled into new products. On a happier note for the circular economy, Vestiaire Collective is seriously boosting its men's business. The platform launched its first dedicated men's resale report in September, and it shows that demand for menswear and accessories has been increasing steadily, with the men's assortment growing by 88% in the last 3 years. For male shoppers, clothing, sneakers, and accessories or bags are the top categories sold, and the most purchased bag brand globally is Louis Vuitton. Men are motivated by good deals and affordability, and many care for their items so they can actually resell them later. Finally, a quick note on high luxury politics. Bernard Arnault, the CEO of LVMH and France's richest man, publicly complained about a proposed tax plan in France that is meant to improve the tremendous budget deficit that the country is currently dealing with. So the plan itself involves a 2% tax on fortunes over 100 million euros. So that's not a 2% additional tax as I've understood it, just 2% tax, full stop. Arnault called the plan an open attempt to destroy the French economy and strongly criticized the economist who proposed it. Now, this plan is actually backed by 7 Nobel Prize winning economists, and 74% of the French people are in favor of it too. So I don't really know what it is exactly, but this man really loves to be in the news because I feel like I am covering something that he did or that he said pretty much every month. Now we close out September with a media earthquake. American Vogue has a new editor for the first time in 37 years. Loewe Malle, a 39-year-old editor of Vogue's website, has been named the new head of editorial content, and she will be taking over from the legendary Anna Wintour. So Malle's vision is a fairly major shift. She actually wants to print fewer issues and make them more like collectible, high-quality books focused on specific themes. Online, she's aiming for a smaller, high-quality audience by focusing on witty, irreverent, joyful points of view, instead of chasing every fast trend. Though Anna Wintour remains the chief content officer for Condé Nast and Malle's supervisor, Malle stressed the importance of making the magazine her own. Well, what a month. From the new creative directors at the major fashion houses to new laws being passed in the European Union, September showed us that the luxury world is ready for a major transformation. Tell me in the comments down below which creative director debut are you or were you most excited to see? What do you think about the new Hermès rules? And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one, and as we say in Dutch, doei!